Good morning. Do you know what this is? Well, hold on a minute and I'm going to explain it. Okay, this is a bloom from an onion. Now, I had onions that last year I planted, and they didn't make. They were in an area that didn't get enough sun, and they just didn't do it. They didn't get any size to them at all, so I left them. Well, they came back this year, came back up, perked up, put their greens up, and predictably went to seed. But we're going to turn a negative into a positive because we're going to collect the seed. Now, this is super easy. You got to wait until the little blooms have completely opened up and have had a little time. And basically what you do is you just take a jar, or you could use anything, and just shake them around there and knock the seeds loose. And I can't show you because they're so tiny, but this jar, I've shook out a couple of these, and there's, you know, a pretty good little amount of seeds in there. All right, let's talk a little more about onions. Now, there's three ways you can grow onions. One way is seed. You plant them in January. You keep them in the house, you know, under some good lamps, good strong light, and grow them until it's time to plant onions in your area. In my area, that's March. So then you have onion plants that you untangle them, take them out of their dirt, and you set them into your garden, transplant them. The second way is to buy onion plants where they're in a bundle and they're bundled up. Usually the roots are trimmed and the tops are trimmed, and you just transplant those into your garden. And the third way is the onion set, the little bulbs that you can buy that are already an onion. Now, there's a couple of things you need to know about onions. Onions aren't very well understood. Onions are biannual. That means that an onion plant basically lives for 2 years. All right? Now, more often than not, that second year is when that onion is going to go to seed, and like these have done. Now, that's okay if that's what you want to do. In my case, I turned a negative into a positive. I had some onions that didn't make. I left them in my garden. Now, this year I can collect the seed, and I can use the seed this January to start next year's crop of onions. But most of the time, that's not what you want. And when I mention the three kinds of ways to start onions, I'm mentioning it because of this. Onion seeds, that's obvious. Onion plants, they were grown that spring, probably somewhere like in Texas, where, you know, spring starts super early, and they harvest them and ship them in, and you buy them and you transplant them into your garden. No problem. They never went dormant. They're still green when you get them. But the onion sets, the little bulbs, that can become a problem because they were grown the year before, okay? And harvested when the bulb was small. They probably seed them extremely thickly and just get the little bulbs, and then they sell those the following spring. Now, the problem with that is they've gone dormant in the meantime. Now they come back this spring and they think this is their second year to grow. So when you plant those, you have a huge risk that they're just going to go to seed. And that's terrible because you get this great big thick stalk up through the middle of your onion, and that stalk isn't onion. It's a flower stalk. It's not the same. And basically you don't have anything left. So that's one thing you need to know about growing onions. The other thing that most people don't seem to know is that onions come in three basic varieties. Now, I know somebody is immediately saying, oh, there's red, yellow, and white. No, that's not what I mean. Onions come in three basic varieties. They come in a short day onion, a long day onion, or a day neutral onion. And you need to know what sort of onion you need in your area. In my area, day neutral onion is what I need. Now, all that means is that the length of sunlight in the day doesn't affect the onion bulbing. It doesn't trigger the onion to bulb. They just bulb when they're grown big enough and they're ready. So, in eastern Kansas, where I live, you need day neutral. I believe, if I'm remembering this right, I think in the Northeast that they use the long day onions. Cooler climate and shorter summer, and so they need that kind of onion in order for it to develop a bulb. And I believe down south it is the short day onion, because they can plant things in January, and you know, and then they get exceedingly hot in the summer. So I believe that's correct. But you need to find out what kind of onion you need for your area, and then go for it, folks. Nothing like fresh onions. They're great. Some varieties are better at storage than others, but that's essentially the onion story. Now, I hope I've told you some little fact that will help you as you go along. Like I say, most people I've talked to, they didn't know these things. They had no idea that an onion lived for 2 years. They had no idea their onions kept going to seed in the summer. Mine used to always. And they thought, well, gee, it's just, not too hot, too cold, not enough water. No, wasn't that at all. You planted sets. And now it's possible to plant sets and get to a bulb stage big enough that you can harvest them before they go to seed. But it's a big gamble, okay? So thank you for watching. That's a little bit of onion facts and how to collect onion seeds. So you have a quality day.